guys, my name is Sarah Perkins, and this is a super unplanned video of what I liked, what I didn't like about Tufts University. And before I continue any further, please hit the like button. It literally doesn't show on your profile. And subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize my videos and get like half a cent from YouTube. Yeah, I think I'm at like 300 something right now. Because I know there's some high schoolers there that are searching on YouTube. I see you trying to decide what college to go to and like what it's like from an actual person that goes there versus a random campus tour guide. So we're just going to crack open a Market Basket seltzer, totally unplanned, and talk about some of my favorite things and some of my least favorite things. So at Tufts University, I started in 2015, graduated in 2019. I was a chemical engineering major with a minor in engineering management. And I did so many things on campus. Like not in a good way. I had way too much going on. I was a member of the cross country and track teams. So that's D3 and NCAA athletics. I was also part of the Society of Chemical Engineers, and I was pretty involved in that one. I was part of the Society of Women Engineers. I was a little less involved in that one, just periodically went to meetings. I feel like I was part of a bunch of other random clubs that I didn't really put any like effort into, so I don't really remember those or put them on my resume. When I was a senior, I quit cross country, not for any bad reasons. I just wanted to focus on other things in my life. As kind of a fun thing, I joined the Tufts Tap Ensemble. So I got to know like a bunch of different groups of people on campus. I kind of got a good perspective, I think, on the school. Just starting out kind of like in the idea that I was an athlete. I think Tufts, and I forgot who told me this, it was one of my friends, but it's such a good quote. Tufts is great if you fall into one of three groups: athletes, people in frats and sororities, so Greek life, I guess, or wilderness people. And wilderness people, that sounds like super derogatory. It's not. There's a wilderness club that's really popular on campus. They have like cabins in Vermont or New Hampshire, I'm not quite sure, but they do like big hikes. They have these awesome activities, like you can go skiing in the winter, and it's a really well-known club on campus that seemed really fun from my perspective outside. I feel like if you were not in one of those three groups, it's kind of like the social scene kind of revolves around like athletes have houses. Like there will be, like even in track, we had like the track house. So then we would have like parties or like hang out at the track house during the day. And same with other sports team, like soccer girls would have a house. Everyone kind of had their home base. And of course, same goes with frats and sororities. And I think the wilderness people probably do too, as well as some of the larger clubs on campus. If you're not part of one of those clubs, it's kind of weird because when you join, you don't really have necessarily like a go-to senior group or go-to people older than you to give you advice. I feel like being a part of something from the beginning is really useful at Tufts. That's kind of a con if you don't fall into kind of one of these big groups on campus from the beginning. Okay, that was a really egregious explanation. What I was trying to say is that if you're not in a big club on campus from the start, it's harder to get to know upperclassmen and harder to find your groove at the start of Tufts. One big pro is obviously, in my opinion, it's kind of a hard school to get into. I feel like you have to be on top of your extracurriculars in high school. You have to have those good SAT scores. So like props to you if you got into Tufts to start with. So coming with those good SAT scores and high standards, people do respect the Tufts name, I would say, especially around the Boston area. So that's one big pro in my eyes. A con on the flip side of that is people on the West Coast or even people on the East Coast kind of outside of the New England area might not have as much name recognition for Tufts. It only has about 5,000 people. You might get better name recognition with a school like Notre Dame or a school like University of Michigan that on paper isn't as good as Tufts. People just unfortunately think of it, or unfortunately for people who go to Tufts, think of some of the larger schools, even like Vanderbilt. On paper, they might not be better than Tufts according to all those dumb college rankings or whatever. They're just more well-known, more highly regarded outside the New England area. So a big pro for me for Tufts was the D3 athletics. And I literally ran cross country on accident at Tufts. I did not apply with cross country on my resume like I was going to go into the team. You can, in my opinion, get into Tufts a lot easier if you go to a coach of especially one of the more major sports. The coaches can kind of pull some strings to get you in, or not pull some strings, but they can write down the names of the kids that they've been like talking to and trying to recruit, and that will just give you an extra bump in admissions. I unfortunately was too dumb to do that and had no idea that's how recruiting worked, and who would have thought. But I ended up joining track and cross country, and I think D3 athletics are great because it's not as high pressure as D1, but you still get that team feeling, you still get to compete, you still get a network of people, both older and younger than you, that you'll stay in touch with for the rest of your life. And that will be useful when you're looking for jobs, just like looking for life advice in general. That was super useful, and I think a great benefit of Tufts. There's a lot of athletes on campus, a lot of different sports teams, not just your traditional teams. They also have like squash, rugby, things like that. So if you even play a sport in high school and you're not sure if you're good enough to play at Tufts, I would definitely just email the coach. I'm sure they're very accessible by email. It is a good amount of commitment though. Like D3 is not a joke. Some days I would be practicing for like 4 or 5 hours a day. So it's literally like a full-time job, but it's super beneficial. I think one big con about Tufts for me is I grew up in Central Oregon in a place called Bend, Oregon. And there are a good amount of people from the West Coast that come to Tufts. They're almost all from San Francisco, in my opinion, and some from LA. But I think a lot of the people that go to Tufts went to private schools in New England, or at least it feels like that. I'm sure on paper it's not the majority, but a lot of people went to these boarding schools and knew each other from the beginning. Unfortunately, people who can go to these nicer schools for high school, they're going to have good SAT scores. They're going to have diverse resumes in high school because these schools in New England are amazing. Like it's some of the best high schools in the country for sure, if not the best high schools. So I think, just speaking from the heart, if you're someone who knows your parents aren't going to be paying your rent, paying your grocery bills in college, that you're going to have a couple jobs on the side like I did, it's going to be just kind of annoying at Tufts, to be honest. It's not going to be annoying 24/7, but you're definitely going to notice that like it seems like everyone does not have to work and just kind of enjoy the college experience, can party, can focus on their schoolwork, while there's this minority of people that kind of does have to live in the real world and does have to have a job and just do some extra things to save their money. They can't be Ubering into Boston 24/7. They can't really be, you know, ordering food on Uber Eats. So I think that was just a con for me, because if I would have gone to school, say at like Oregon State or some places that my friends went to school, it seems like there's a lot more socioeconomic diversity than Tufts. And it's kind of, you know, everyone's in it together being a broke college student. Facts, that's just not the case at Tufts. I'm sure people will come for me saying that. There is a lot less socioeconomic diversity on campus. And I'm not saying that I worked and paid for my entire college experience. I did have jobs on the side so I could be earning money in college. So I don't want to pretend like I, you know, paid full tuition. I didn't. I had financial aid. But I'm not fronting that I like worked minimum wage my way through Tufts. I think that's nearly impossible. So, but I did have a lot of jobs on the side to try to supplement the cost of going to college. Another thing I really liked about Tufts was the professors. In the engineering school, once I started getting into the chemical engineering classes, I think our major was only 19 kids. So shout out Chemi. Class sizes were really small. There was, you know, 19 of us in some classes. In some classes it was less than 10. And the professors are just so nice. Like usually, I mean, of course there's a couple bad apples, but usually super genuine people, and you can go their office hours and they will totally help you on your homework, and they actually know who you are in class and like care about you on a personal level. I really like that part of Tufts. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I didn't mention this sooner. The dining hall at Tufts is to die for. So we have two main dining halls. One is called DeWick and one is called Carm, aka Carmichael. And DeWick is the go-to. People will fight me on that, but DeWick is literally the bomb. You can have whatever you want. They like cook a lot of food for you, but then you can also like make your food, like make a salad or sandwich or stuff. And it is literally the best food. Like when I was on the cross country team, people would be like, oh my gosh, like I'm stressing about being an adult because I can't have like DeWick as an adult. Like where's that in the real world? A big con of the amazing dining hall is it is so expensive to have a dining plan. And I think they mandate all freshmen to be on a full meal plan, but after that, you can kind of like just buy a partial meal plan. I think it was something like if you just swiped in with your card, around $16 for dinner, which is so expensive, and like $9 something for breakfast. So after I was a freshman, I didn't really go there regularly, but oh my gosh, as a freshman, that stuff was amazing. I've never lived that good in my life. Another good thing about Tufts is I feel like the housing is kind of flexible. So all freshmen, and I believe sophomores, maybe a couple sophomores, no, but mostly have to live on campus. And your freshman year, you'll have a roommate usually, but then sophomore year, depending on your housing lottery number, you can live in a single dorm, I lived in a double again. And then after that, people usually move off campus. They might move to like their sorority, fraternity house, or usually people just rent houses around the area with their friends. So I feel like it's a nice balance of living on campus and kind of getting to be an adult off campus. Mind you, the off-campus housing, like, it's not like you're driving to campus. You'll literally live within a block of the dorm. It will just like not be on Tufts property. I think I had this impression in high school that Tufts was going to be this like really good school. Everyone was going to recognize it on my resume when I graduated because it was really hard to get into. And I think Tufts is really good for some majors and really not good for some majors. I know IR, International Relations, is like one of their best majors and very well recognized. I know like pre-med is also very good at Tufts. I know a lot of people that have gotten into great law schools after Tufts. And then engineering is like pretty okay at Tufts, I think. I don't think it's like renowned around the world. For something like finance or people who are looking to go to like the traditional investment banking route, Tufts is just not it. There's not a lot of people that do that. So even though it's like a quote unquote good school, I think you have to look about how good the school is within the eyes of your major. Even some of the different NESCAC schools, I think, have a better reputation in finance. I'm only talking about that because that's what I know in my career, but I would definitely look at how good Tufts is in the lens of your major versus just like how high the median SAT score is to get in. Oh my gosh, one underrated part I hated about Tufts is it's on a hill, which like should not be a big deal, right? You're like, the world has hills, but no, oh my gosh, everywhere you walk, it's literally straight uphill and you're like climbing a mountain. You're engaging your glutes to get to class. And you cannot ride your bike anywhere unless you're like cutting across campus. It's just not good. I mean, like compare it to something like USC where you can just cruise around on your bike to class, night and day. Also, the weather at Tufts sucks. It's mostly wintertime when you're there, mind you. Like summer, you might be having internships in different towns, so don't even count that. It is so cold. I would also think about where you wanted to work after graduation. Tufts is great if you want to work in Boston or New York City, and that's about it. Like some people go to DC, but I swear it's almost a 50-50 split between Boston and New York City. Oh, this is another bad thing, grade deflation. For reference, so I was in the School of Engineering, cum laude, which is like the lower honors. The threshold for that is a 3.2 GPA to be considered honors and to be considered Dean's List every semester. And I think for the School of Arts and Sciences, it's 3.6. I might be wrong, you can look that up. But that's a really low threshold to be considered like excelling in school, in my opinion. And people always say your GPA doesn't matter. Your GPA sticks with you for the rest of your life. And it will be on your resume for many years to come after college. And it will affect you on whether you can get jobs or not. So going to a school that harshly grades you just kind of sucks. There used to be this rumor, and I don't think it was a rumor, I think it's like more of a story, that people during the summer semester would go to Harvard to take intro to chemistry because it was too freaking hard to pass the class at Tufts. And like, I feel like my freshman year, it was just people had to drop out of classes left and right. There's a certain window where you can drop a class without it getting marked on your transcript. And it's just crazy. Like those classes like intro to chem, intro to biology, intro to physics, like half the class would disappear after the first test just because everyone failed. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the model. Like your GPA is going to be lower at Tufts than a lot of schools. Career services at Tufts is definitely something to consider, and it's just kind of meh in my opinion. It's good because Tufts is a small school, so you can get an appointment there. People will read over your resume. But like beyond reading over your resume, I don't think their job board was really that good. There's some great people that work there that will really help you, and even like the job fairs at Tufts were very underwhelming. There were only a couple fields that were, you know, like very represented, and most of the companies were from Boston, maybe a couple from New York. I mean, if you're a person that you know, like you can really claw your way into a good job, then it doesn't matter. But honestly, having a good career services center is life-changing. Oh my gosh, accessibility to Boston. People are always like, oh my gosh, like it's basically in Boston. You have to do a 10-minute walk to get to the T, then you have to ride the T, and that takes like 20 minutes / 40 minutes because it will never come. And then they stop running at like 1 a.m. and it's kind of a mess to get into Boston. So it's a big pro because internships in Boston. You can live on campus and easily commute to your internship. I had one internship in Cambridge, one internship in downtown Boston, and the tea was amazing for that. But if you think you're gonna be like going into Boston every weekend, I think by the time people were seniors, like people did that a lot, but it's definitely not the vibe when you're freshmen. Like I feel like I went off campus more than the usual person when I was a freshman, and I maybe went like a couple times a semester to Boston. And I know people will come for me being like, it's so easy, like it's not a day trip. Yeah, but it's just like not in Boston is what I'm saying. I can't believe it slipped my mind. Like the most important thing people are probably wondering is the social scene at Tufts. This is one of the most, like the biggest cons in my brain, just seeing like a lot of my friends go to state schools or even going to like more fun small schools. People really only go out on Saturdays. Some people go out on Thursdays, and we have something called Pub Tuesdays, or at least in my time. Like Saturdays are really the only going out days, and a lot of times like when you want to go out, people will just be like, I have work. Like I have work is just a phrase. There will literally be weekends where like almost nothing is happening on campus, which was just crazy to me, just thinking like what the college experience would be like. It was very different than that. There are weekends that are very fun. There are weekends that things are happening. When I was a freshman, Greek life was very active, and they kind of like banned a lot of Greek life, so those parties got canceled. So like sports teams' houses will host parties, which is fun, but also like the athletes, in my opinion, were a lot of the momentum behind the social life. And we have like games and meets and whole seasons, like long periods of time where we can't really go out, and we'll even have like dry seasons when the athletes aren't there for the like going out momentum. And I'm sure there's a lot of social scenes like that I wasn't a part of that people be like, oh, are super fun. I'm just mainly talking about kind of the athletes and the Greek life social scene. It was pretty underwhelming. Not saying there weren't super fun nights. Like I had so much fun in general at Tufts. Okay, I'm sure I'm missing like 500 million things, and maybe I'll make another one of these because I literally just sat down in front of the camera. I'm trying to make useful videos on my channel. But if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up, it doesn't even show on your profile, so just like a free thumbs up to me, so my video can get more engagement. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so if you want to see any of my other videos, just hit the subscribe button. And that is your token for me making this video and hopefully it being helpful for your decision whether to go to Tufts or not. Again, this is just my opinion, and I'm sure there are so many other perspectives. So don't take me saying this as like this is the universal experience at Tufts. I just wanted to list a couple things that I really liked about Tufts and things that I didn't like so much. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.